Good evening, everyone. How's everything going? We are back, checking out a little bit of things here, and then we're going to start working on Chrome. And we have a rocket to start off the night with. Go. Finally, after multiple launches of satellites, you come to the realization of what final solution will look like. Complete eradication of the natives and time to build your own ride out of here. And doesn't actually give us any kind of view better than what we have. Gonna have to do a little eradication here because our borders are starting to get close again. Okay, should be good for now. Let's get this land building and just fill it in. Okay, so that should be good now. So tonight we're going to be working on Chrome. And let's see what else we need to start doing for SpaceX. We need dry dock structure components and dry dock assembly components. Okay, so those are simple to make. We just need about 2,000 low density. And that's a lot of things. So that many of those assembly robots? We need 2 of these. Not impossible, but it's going to take a little bit of time. See if we're auto crafting these anywhere. Nope. So we have to build each solar panel, large version, in succession. So we are making that one, so that's simple to increase. We're gonna put it in like this just to slowly trickle the items into it. Since we're honestly not gonna need that many. And we're gonna disable that output and we'll just let it build up in here. Assembly robot, that's what it's called. Alright, we only have the one that I handcrafted, so we're gonna need a few more. And we're not even gonna set up that recipe yet, because that's gonna be a while away. That's fine. Okay, so with the other ones, we can just carry a bunch of low density on us and craft those as we go on. But I remember where it is in this mess. There we go. Or we don't really have a lot of them, so we'll come back to that at a later point. Okay, so we're at 87% on FTLA. Which is eventually gonna start consuming all that green science we're stockpiling right now. And we need to start working on redesigning Chrome. Because without Chrome, we don't get black circuits. Without black circuits, we don't get modules, which means we don't get Chrome and other materials, which means we don't get black circuits. And then it just keeps going back and forth through that loop. Because I did not plan any of this for the proper scale that I was going to need. And we queued up so much concrete brick to repave everything that it is also backing up our entire system. Alright, so we're going to hang out here. We're going to get a small version of Foreman up just so you can kind of see what I'm doing from that. If you can't really tell from that, you'll see it on the main screen here in the lab. So we clear out old designs, and then we're going to start working here and eventually expand down a ton. So we need to design an entire mess here that is barely using any tier 4 modules, which are module 3s because they start numbering at 0 for whatever reason. We're going to make this giant thing, and it's barely going to put any chrome out comparatively to anything else I've designed. That's also because chrome is terribly inefficient and a little hard to scale up. But we are getting everything we can out of the ore that we're producing. And technically, I can place this whole thing on the ends of my current chrome design once I get it built up to the ore point, because that will actually let me get a little bit more out of the chrome ore that I'm currently producing. It's not going to be perfect for ratios. It's a little under what it's designed for, but it should be good enough. Let's get designing this. Start off at the end point. We're just going to go a little bit larger. If I was to put a beak in here, we can cut it down to 3. Okay, gets us to that. I don't know why I hadn't left this version of everything going. Alright, because this one actually was doing what it was supposed to some extent. It's because I didn't put the power drain into it. Figure this out. We already have a blueprint of it, and it's already a little busted. So we're gonna have to come back to that at some point anyway. this. So we need 2 strand casters to supply the coil. And these are the coolant variants, so we need to supply in cold coolant and get to use coolant outputting. We also have this thing from later that we'll come back to. We'll probably be adding it on the left side. So that is going to be our output for all the extra material that gets created during the chrome process. Thankfully, the mix of stuff we can all turn into iron. We always have need of iron. Our system finds ways of needing more. Sorry about that. A little bit of a cough, muted myself before it happened. Okay, so coolant, we're going to work reverse. We're going to start from the use coolant part and work that out. So coolant has to go through a process where it needs to cool itself down 3 times. And then we can filter out the used coolant to get a little bit of it back. just need to link everything up. We're going to be setting it up in this nice straight line here. That keeps everything close enough to where we don't run into an issue. We need to feed water in as well to help cool. We get steam coming out. We sadly don't get any way to turn steam back into a simple water, basic water. We only make it into purified water. So we have to keep this whole cycle constantly going. We also have to make use of the steam. So we're going to be turning it into purified water that's going to clean filters. And then the rest of it we're going to be venting off. And that's going to get us our use coolant at a nice cold temperature that we're then going to run through 2 filters. We need to connect and worry about everything else first. So we also need the water. We had it set up main coolant line, which is fine. That'll be enough water to keep moving around. So that's all the steam that we're making. It's got to go through 3 cooling towers, turn into purified water. These are all going to have a speed 2 module in them. Get an overflow right there. So we need to get this over as well. So we're going to shift this a little. Filtration units. We're also going to need an assembly machine between them. This is going to clean out the filters. And we can do it like that. Everything's nice and good. We have our overflow. And we have this right here to pipe right in. Now we get fresh coolant out. Nice and simple. And we get that'll just be going right back down into here on this. And now we at least have the used filter loop mostly set up. Just going to adjust where this is. So now we need to make more because this is lossy. It takes in 200, it only comes back with 160, so we're losing 40 every cycle. So we need to keep something to top it up. So we're actually going to build in an entire coolant loop into this instead of trying to transport it in from somewhere. Honestly, would be a little better, but that's fine. It's not that complicated to set up. I really should have done. I should have set up trains with all these liquids and everything getting mass produced in certain areas, transported out. But I didn't design it that way. So, gotta make do with what I have. So we need to hook this into the water here as well. That works. Sorry, one moment. Okay. Sorry, got a little bit of a food delivery surprise. I'll get to that in a little bit. So because we need this doing a top up, we're going to actually set it with the top up valve. Checks the front line, and if it's under 80%, it allows flow. That way, this is only working to partially fill up the line, and then there's that extra 20% buffer for the cycling to do its thing. If it ever gets low, this keeps it topped up. Hence, top up valve. And that also needs another speed module too. Now we get to work on this mess of chemicals and everything. I can find the right chemical plant because there's 12 different things. So we're making base mineral oil. Which needs naphtha, thermal water, and carbon monoxide. And we're just going to trace everything back here. Carbon monoxide, we are getting from over here, from that mess. So we're just going to set up the initial piping over here and worry about connecting it later. Honestly, why am I producing extra steam down here for anything? I have so much extra up here, we could connect it in and I can cut out some of these machines here. It's not hard to do. That's purified water. So instead of that, and instead of that, we just have steam from up there doing that, and purified water from up here. Just means a little less gets taken out from there. Though it does introduce an issue. No, there's no priming issue. A little bit of a priming issue. We'll figure that out. initially getting the loop started, I'm going to need a little bit of steam from somewhere. This is part of making the coolant. But we now have those two lines to make use of. Just going to make our naphtha. It's going to come from synth gas that we're making as part of this hydrogen and other stuff. That's the wrong way. Okay, that's all connected up, and then we need to connect it to there. That's all of our uses of carbon monoxide over here. We're going to have to worry about getting this connected in from elsewhere. So in trying to figure this out, we need a little bit of purified water over here to really get this started, plus some steam. We are going to have to build something quick when we set this up to get that started. Or we can keep it disconnected from here and do what I was originally doing, which I think is actually going to be better. Yeah, combine that. Okay, that's fine. That gets self-priming. We don't have to mess with anything. And this also helps us set up our thermal water. So we're going to work on getting that all set up now. Also need to get the catalyst set up for this. There we go. rest of this, and we're going to need more power down here. Thermal water extractor. It's just this giant mess of a machine that I hate dealing with. So we need steam connecting into here. Alright, so we need the electrolyzer and all this stuff set up now. We need steam there, and we need this to connect to steam. Which gets it there. It's just hiding behind the tower. It's going to need one of these groundwater bores. And we need to get lithium salt set up in this. We need desalination, algae farm. It's going to be a little messy to get this set up. But we can put it there. And connect to this water. And we need an algae farm. Brown algae, electric furnace. We can jump down to the lowest version to save on resources. And that should be everything for the loop. Aside from the carbon monoxide. Should see everything else fill up. But I'm not accidentally filling up wrong pipelines. We get the hydrogen there. Steam's good. Okay, so now our big thing is the carbon monoxide that's going to be getting produced elsewhere, which we can work on right now. Not too crazy of a setup. Yeah, it's mostly a basic charcoal carbon setup that I usually do. So for testing right now on this side, we're just going to use an infinite pipe. That way we can make sure everything else here is working. Yep. And we are filling the line with coolant. So we'll stockpile enough coolant in here from that, and then once the loop actually starts working, it'll do its thing. Alright, so I want to get the chrome up to the chrome ore before we really start to continue with the carbon monoxide, because I believe, yeah, because we have all the charcoal use and stuff that are in here. We're going to need to start piping to all that. Okay. Going back up here. We need 2 induction furnaces. And we have this weird looping nightmare. So the ingots we are going to have to use slightly larger built than what we've been. Actually forgot about when we got to that part. I can't use these belts here. I have to use 2 sets of belts actually. So I have to do something like that. And that should be good to keep everything split on the 2. Because that'll be, we have 90 total here and we're putting 80 on the line. Okay, so we have ads coming up shortly. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'm going to let those run through ads. during that time. So I will be right back. Please remember also to hydrate, take your meds, give a little stretch real quick if you need to. I'll see you shortly. Okay, we're back. Just wanted to give a little bit longer because of that little hiccup there. Always seems to be about 15 minutes on the hour, but it can be every hour, every other hour, or 6 hours apart. It makes no sense. But we seem to be back. We're good. Connection stable. It just kills out the connection. I can't reconnect for about 45 seconds. Is what it is. So let's continue where we were. We've got the induction furnaces here. And those need 3 speed 2s in them. And then we got 2 fit 2 blast furnaces with this weird looping feeding action. And I'm going to have to grab some chrome ingots from my other setup to prime it up. So we're going to build it down here and then connect it in. It's a weird shift of chrome oxide into ingots. So we need to do a priority belt to use the looping materials and then top up from elsewhere. And because the ingots are going to be mass produced, it's just the one simple thing. We don't have to put a belt splitter to merge in. We also need to get fuel in. We're using charcoal. It's the easiest thing to get from this mess. So fuel we'll handle like that. Those will both pick up from a line here, and we'll get that connected up to charcoal eventually. Now we need to get our 2 materials here looping. For that, that's what filters are for. So we don't need that many. Though the ingot line is going to need a little bit more belt initially. As the blue belts can only support 45 a second. We're going to be pushing 54 initially, so we're going to keep that like that. These, we're just going to have each of these machines be on the same side, doing 13. Sorry, had a little bit of a room invasion. So these are never going to go onwards anywhere. So we could do that, and then don't have to do that outwards like that. Could do that. We're going to have to use transporters. So we're going to have this, and then this is going to continue upwards on one side, and the other side's going to loop it back around. So we can actually do that from this side, and then at that point we're moving 13 a second on this side, so we can actually set it back to blue. We do that, so they're getting their ingots. And then this is going to always be looping back, but it's going to also have a fill up down here, effectively. We have input priority from there, and then anything that needs to get filled in will come from this other one. And there we go. Nice, simple setup. We just need to connect a few more inputs. Just use blue here. We don't need it past that point. We just need to get it fast moving here, and then each side can split off to the speeds that it needs, which is 40.8 and 13.6. How's everybody out there doing tonight? Hope you're all doing well. If anybody's got any stories, feel free to join in to chat. So this is where everything starts to get really weird with its loops, because there is a sodium sulfate loop where we have sodium and sulfur that are constantly just shifting around as a catalyst to everything. So we're going to have to work this whole thing out and then connect it in here. The only thing that we're getting out of this is dichromate. No, not the dichromate. The only thing we're getting out is the chrome oxide. Everything and a little bit of carbon monoxide that we'll worry about where that's going to go after the rest of this is set up. Oh, and we need to set up our speed modules. I'm also going to be a little bit of a food goblin here and eat while on stream. There we go. I'm back. Housemate went and had a late night craving for food and brought me some extra. I need that water to go elsewhere. No, we didn't. We changed it because we hooked it up there. So we can just save a little pipe there. Okay, so back to the weird chrome oxide loop. It's going to need carbon piped in, which we have noted here. What a weird setup. Oh, and before I forget, I do need to fix some stuff over here, get it into the system. Our temporary, not actual logistics system. As I move things around, it's going to need that. Which I actually forgot to give those their productivity. Okay, so we have this mess with its two outputs and a gas output. Gas output has a set spot. So that's going to be our, I think that's going to connect up in there. And then our weird sodium, part of our sodium loop is here. I don't even know where that's going yet. We're going to work our way back some more here. We need a liquefier and an electrolyzer. Do something like that. This is making dichromate. can just insert directly. And here's some sodium sulfate. Honestly, and be direct inserted as well. Now, and that's part of the problem. This purified water loop is going to need a little bit of a priming. So we'll have to leave some room for that. That's not too bad. Honestly, it's close enough to this I can put a top up from over here and run it over. Alright, back to the task at hand. Electrolyzer. I don't care about the liquid points because we're not dealing with those. We're just creating 2 items from this, hence why we can do that. Not to worry about filters on them because they'll only take the items that they need to into each side. Okay, so now this is where part of the interesting stuff comes. Carbon dioxide we need to bring over. We're going to need a double liquefier setup coming right off of this. As we are looping eventually part of our sodium carbonate from up top here is coming back down, and then we also have this bit that's coming in. Let's see. So we leave that there. It's good to put direct insert. But we don't want a direct insert because we want this to come in. So we're going to do something like that. So it's placing here on the same side. Even though that shouldn't actually matter. I don't need to worry about sides here. It's all going to loop the same. Now, there can be an issue. Now, if I don't feed it enough stuff, the belt will never actually fill up. So, we should be fine. And that needs to go that way for this blast furnace that we're going to set up. That is just a giant mess. We got our sodium carbonate right here. We can do that just to make it look a little nicer. We still need to deal with sulfur from this. To go around to sulfur dioxide gas, which is eventually going to go into that. So we're going to build everything for that over here, mostly. So we can do that. We need another one of you. It's going to be taking oxygen and sulfur. Sulfur's getting created here. Hey. Hi, everybody. Thank you for the raid, Lee. How are you doing tonight? Welcome, raiders.
From it? How pure, how sweet a love. What do you mean? Hey, for him. Mm-hmm.
Pulls a random clip. Welcome, everyone. I've been playing Seablock for about 330 hours here. I know Lee finished this about a month ago at this point, at about 800 hours. Except he used trains, I don't use trains. What was everybody doing tonight? I am currently working on Chrome here, and all of its crazy little loops. To be fair, there is one train. And here it is. It just ran out of fuel. That's my one train for the milestone. Alright, Lee. Go take care. You don't have to stay. You just did a stream. You need the rest. Go stretch. Remember to hydrate. Check your blood sugar. Remember to eat if you haven't. We are slowly getting there with the milestones. We did just finally launch enough satellites for SpaceX. We are now working on the dry dock. And we're about to hit FTLA. And yeah, I tend to mostly play Factorio right now. I try to change it up on Fridays. Things that I've been playing right now are Baldur's Gate 3 as well as Control. But if you need a place just to listen to some music, listen to a voice, and listen to Factorio noises, this is the place. So we are working on this weird sulfur sodium loop that Chrome uses. And we need to get the oxygen set up here. Actually, I should show some of you, as most of you haven't probably been here before. This is the current state of the base. It is huge. There is no rhyme or reason to anything at this point. It is all just kind of shoved wherever I need it. There's no trains. Everything's transported by belts or by bots. There are about almost 4,000 logistics bots running around right now. As you can see, when we start to zoom in, we get belts. And more belts. And then bots. So if anybody has any questions on any little bit of my base and how I do things, feel free to ask. If you haven't played before, I can always give a quick rundown. One of the issues that we have is the purified water in this loop. To get it going initially, it needs some input of it from elsewhere. So we have a little bit of production up here. We're going to use a top-up valve and connect it in. Then I am going to have to supply into this loop some sodium and sulfur. You can find it in the list of everything. Okay, so we still need to get some of the fuels hooked up here. We need the oxygen as well. Carbon dioxide. It's going to be charcoal, and we have to fuel this with charcoal, so we can set up the liquid fire right about here. Should be fine. We can run it over. Actually, we could just fit it right here. And for right now, for testing, we'll just get an infinite chest of it here. Okay, so purified's in, charcoal's in. So we need carbon up here. Which we're also going to be piping in from a whole little setup that's going to do charcoal, carbon, carbon monoxide, little bits that we need for some stuff. So oxygen is coming from 2 chemical plants. Gotta bring it back a little more. We're gonna need 5 air filters. So in this part, we are taking oxygen from the air, separating it out to oxygen, nitrogen, and sending that across over to where we need the oxygen. Nitrogen we're just burning off, putting it back into the atmosphere. And that should be enough to keep everything going. Now we get to put in our 2 materials here. And I forgot to put an inserter there. We're also just going to feed it a little bit of chrome pellets right now just to test it out. Make sure the loop's doing what it needs to. Because we have too much of this in the system. I probably only need about 50 of each. Which we'll see where that breaks off. Stops working. Oh, because we never set up that output. Now we're just going to have that vent. Do need to actually set this up looping around. But it does get an overflow treatment here anyway. And we can't continue because we don't have fuel up here. Which is fine, that'll get it working. And as I said, I needed a little bit of ingots to get things started. Mess up here. That's why. These are both going on the same side. And this is going on both, so this was able to overfill and clog it up. If I do that. Oh, and that's backwards. That was also going to cause a problem. But that should have given enough room for this to kick over shortly. Yep, now they're both running. And now something broke. What broke? What stopped working? I think, oh, it probably just ran out of enough pellets. So if we were to simulate this with more chrome pellets, should in theory just keep running. So I need about 50 of each, give or take. That seems to saturate the nice little compact loop here. Hey Zoe, how you doing? Everything going good tonight? that sounds fun. Good to see you're off work. I think I forgot to put some modules somewhere. Yep, I've got modules everywhere. Okay, so that should be all the modules needed for this to keep moving. Let's get rid of these chests and actually get everything set up. I think at this point, yeah, at this point it's best that we work on the charcoal setup. That is also going to be feeding a bunch of carbon monoxide to different things. Let's see, we're going to need one carbon monoxide machine. Our carbon monoxide. Getting used in some stuff that we're not setting up yet. And it is also going off to things that we do have set up. And we're going to actually hook in this carbon monoxide output just in case of any issues. Okay, so we need some nitinol. We're going to use this as a top up. That way this will just vent itself if it's not needed and keep moving. And then this will do its thing to keep other stuff filled. Actually, thinking about it, that should be the other way. We want this one to always be moving and then this to be the top up. this we can just place up here, around here. Do something like that. This is going to be a carbon line, so we can use that just to pull this in right here, and then we can send this off where we need to once that's set up. And we're going to have this little bit of purified. We can set that up here as well. That's also going to be from our charcoal to carbon creation. We can build that all right in here. Swap the music up a little bit here. I'm going to go into a little bit more of a chiptune theme. Carbon has to go off to 3 different things. 2 of which are right here. Okay, so cooling towers are just for providing to this. There. is we have these 3 lines that are all outputs for our charcoal. We are going to have others. And we also need our feedback charcoal to keep the loop going. We're going to have 3 more things of charcoal down here. Which is where a bulk of it's going. A bulk of it is going into manganese processing. About half of it. So let's get these all combined up. I do love setting this stuff up like that to where it all starts to spin itself up. That was the original Chrome design. Show that off here real quick. Oh, I was testing it before. So originally at the end here we had Chrome and Platinum. And it's this whole big giant loop. And you have to start feeding everything from the bottom here, and it slowly gets everything looping. You have to give a little bit of iron ore, copper ore in some places. I think a little bit of silver and gold as well. But then it all slowly starts to make its loops and come to life and move its way up. This is probably the largest complicated build I had to do. It started nice and symmetrical, and then I just started placing everything on the left side. I actually built a second one to try and get my Chrome working a little better. We actually have ads coming up again real quick, so I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. Let the ads run through that. Nobody loses out on anything. You just get some quick annoying ads in the middle of some music. Everybody, remember, take a little bit of a stretch, get yourself a drink, eat if you need to, or as I told Lee, check your blood sugar if you have to. Take any meds you need to that you might have forgotten about. And I will be right back. Okay, back. Okay, so that's how we're going to loop out what we need to send down this way. We need to get 5 furnaces set up with a beacon. Five's better than setting up 13. Honestly, if I was to just remove some of the productivity modules, that way it's going to throw off all the numbers elsewhere. We don't want to change that right now. Because we can supply these, especially once we get the chrome going up again. So chrome is our bottleneck right now for black circuits, which is needed for every endgame little bit of thing that we're doing. Okay, so I just need to get a beacon to hit all of these. We're going to wait with that because we could probably just direct connect that machine. Now we're just setting up our basic green algae loop. I actually have to remember with this that we need that to output first and loop back. Because we're going to need that to keep the loop running. As we use our own fuel charcoal output to create carbon dioxide to loop around. Okay, so we need 1 green. then this is going to need 2. Right, and we need 2 because that's going to be a bunch coming down the belt. Need to change the belt, so we need about 70. So we're going to need green belts. Whatever. Substations are cheap. I want to use the newer version that I've had forever, but they need advanced processing units. That's what I'm short on right now. And we finished that FTLA. So we're going to start on FTLB. So let's see if there's anything white that we can research real quick. We did get a bunch more of this. We have about 2,000. And we can get a little more science productivity as these upgrade. So we can give ourselves a little bit more inventory space, but we're pretty good now. We can get the bots to move faster, which is always better. We are going to have to research this eventually. Or we can try and get the artillery to shoot further. But I think the bots moving faster would be better right now. They are constantly going everywhere. Yep, almost 3,900 logistic. And a little over 3,000 construction. One of our big bottlenecks is this concrete. I've been upgrading little bits of it here and there. See if there's anything that can use a little more push. We're limited by lime. Yeah, the lime's the limiting factor. And surprisingly, we actually need to increase the amount of water coming into these. That should be more than enough water for those to keep moving. That's the cement. It's lime, which have this trying to keep it, but we need to increase its buffer so that more bots are constantly moving it. We'll actually jump it up to 5K. I'll keep more in that box so that it's outputting more. And we'll get that to help out. So I do have another thing producing lime elsewhere in massive quantities, which is right here. So we have a ton of lime just sitting around, waiting to be used in anything. Yep, there they go. And the speed upgrade will help because we have the mix of 2, 3, and fusions in the network. Let's see if we can get a few more fusions in. I should have some more crafted up here. And we can help this out. So the nice thing about the fusion bots is they don't have to recharge, so they don't have to constantly, when they run low, path to one of these charging points or a roboport to charge back up to continue moving. They just keep going and going. Which saves on power from the base as well as just helps the efficiency. That's only a little concerning that we're finally running out of Invar. That's because of this. What can I do for Invar? That's all that Invar has. Okay, so we can upgrade the casting machine. Even set up a second one. I don't know if I had those casting machines in the network or not. Casting machines don't get used often. Everything's shifted on to strand casting, which our coolant network here is actually doing good for once. Yep, that should help out. Do that for a little bit of speed there. Surprised I don't have any of the initial beacons. Something weird must be happening to those. Let's go take a quick look at that and we'll get back to Chrome. Just waiting on harmonic crystal splinters. There's none in the network for some reason. I probably broke where they're getting created. Right, because it was based off this line that not set to actually keep doing things. We need to completely rework this elsewhere. Which, can I do that? Should be able to do that over where we're making the rest of the beacons again. So over here, I should be able to tie it directly into this machine and let it pull these out right from there. Set it up right next to it. Oh no, that's polished it needs. So I need to collect them from somewhere up here. Somehow from these lines. Okay, so we're gonna have to make some extra spaghetti here. So that'll keep everything down here constantly moving. But we have everything up here to balance out still. Okay, so that gets the one. Yeah, we're low on all of them. I don't care, we'll let these fill up. I can make another similar thing up here. Just make sure I know where those other ones are being made. All past me itself making quick fixes everywhere. That's weird. It's making me think that it's up here. I can't see it from map view, and that's actually not there. It's somewhere this way. Oh, it's right here. What happened Okay, so we do still have enough of those from wherever they're coming from. Where, I don't know. We'll worry about that when we run out. But it's got enough of a backlog. Good. This is definitely getting crafted up there. Okay, so those should actually be down in... Okay, that makes no sense. That's why we want that. We want to see where it's coming from. I did set them up in here. Okay. So we're good. Okay, back to Chrome. All right. It's our FDLA research at 334 hours. Back to Chrome. Almost have this at a point where I can just place this whole mess down and get a little more Chrome out of my current setups. So we were up to needing 6 algae farms. And the soundtrack's gotten a little slow again. Try and speed that up. Let's go with a little bit of a swing vibe. go. That's 8 to match up to our 7.5. We need exactly 45, so we're just going to use a purple belt just to make it a little saner for me. Three ore crushers. Out perfectly. So this is where we're going to deviate a little bit from current design for overall versus our little add-on that we're trying to make first. We're actually going to have to get slag production and see how much we need. Which is a little crazy. You know, a lot of electrolyzers. Ugh. That's fine. Okay, so we can get it down to 7. Actually, if we were to put an electrolyzer in, that would help out. That cuts us down to 9 module 2s. And we can get it directly down to 4. Gonna be a little crazy, but keeps it a little more compact. Guess we're gonna need 2 offshores to keep this filled. That's way too much. This is all overkill. I hate this. I'm not gonna have the full 20. Yeah, figure this out. Actually, how much do I have in the logistics network? Can I just do that? Can I be lazy? We don't have any slag in the logistics network. That's weird. I should. I literally have an entire block here that's just dedicated to filling up something. Barely. Oh, it's going to concrete production. And we can upgrade it anyway. Honestly, I'll just take this design, put it in here. So we can do something like that, yeah. It's better than what it used to be when they actually allowed multiple liquids to be on the same pipeline. It did this weird ping-ponging through the network. It was a lot less CPU intensive. Said less, I meant more. It was really inefficient. But the current way with the flow thing also needs a rework. I think, Zoe, you've seen my issues that I had at some point. I had to give certain things just more of a buffer of water. So this, and we just put in a bunch of modules. I know it's one short. It's fine. We're not keeping that in this design. So everything will be fine. Right, that's the thing. This is like overproducing because it's 25 coming from out over there. How much do I actually need? We're simulating it over here. That's more manageable. Because we're taking out the need for the clarifiers. Actually, to set up more. Yeah, this is now technically overkill. So we can cut it down to 5, so leave it at 6. And that's a little bit more sanity back. And it's filling up all of our lines here. Okay, we're good enough to continue. And we'll fix and remove that once we get up to this chrome ore point, which is going to happen in a moment here. We need a pellet press. And it's just going to be this nice direct thing here. And 2 ore processors. All right, and that's all we need for this first part. So let's make a quick blueprint of this. We just have to remove that infinite pipe down there. Actually, let's test it real quick with some test ore coming in right here. Yep, and it's going the thing that it needs to up there. Alright, so let's change around our chrome production to accept this. That'll be a quick little temporary stopgap. We got 2 spots we have to put that in. Where is it? Up over here? Now I've misplaced things. Okay, here it is. So we can tear out these machines here. And up to this point, we don't have a lot of chrome here. Let's clean this up. We have all this room to build it in. Just need to shift this and that, which is going to break power to one thing. Right. Filters. We'll rerun that around once we get this placed. Be able to just fit it right like this. And our worker research was done. I don't think we have enough to do the next one. We'll start FTLB. Just going to start making use of all the greens that are here. I gotta move the copper as well. Simple enough. That should be sitting around the logistics network for me, pulling that down. I need a little bit of chrome ingots. No? Okay, so there were none. So we're gonna go run down to the other setup and get a few. Because we need 6 to get the whole loop started. We're going to be doing the same here. We're probably going to have to shift it off to the side and route it around. But we need to wait for this to finish processing. There we go. Actually, we can break this one anyway right now. Why do I have so much chrome down here? Did something else become the back? Else became the backlog. We still want to build this. got ads starting here shortly. I'm gonna go track down what other bottlenecks we have. Should all be primed and good to go now. We got coolant getting made. I put a little bit of chrome ingot in here, so once the chrome oxide starts doing a thing, which it's not going to do because we need sodium and sulfur in this. I should have some of this somewhere in my logistics. Not enough. Welcome back from it. Where I run around like an idiot trying to find sodium. I don't have a giant thing of it. Oh look at that. Oh look, now it's in the logistics network. Which, honestly, I should just take like 50 of this. We're going to take 100 just in case. And this should start going and shouldn't back up in theory. Okay, so that's backing up. Why is that backing up? Because there is too much in the system. Okay, I'm not sure. Everyone should be back. It might have just did a quick little pop out to the not like this flickering thing. But we should be good. Oh, anything that might have been missed in that minute was just me figuring out the number for this. Which is about 40, it looks like, is the... No, it's not. 40 is still too much. 36? Or do you like 30? You're probably going to like 30 once we get you going enough. Why aren't you going enough? Oh, because at this point you're just hitting the limits of what we have you hooked into. That's fine. That should be fine. You should be fine now. I'll come check on you again later. You should be fine. That should be getting us a little more chrome out of our ore. Let's get the other one going. And let's go see what our bottleneck is with circuits. So give this one 30, see how it goes. It's not enough, we can add a little more. There goes both of those. We just have to wait for this to start filling up. So we get the slag coming in, goes up and around. No, not this song. Go back to this. Okay, everything's starting to get what it needs. So we're waiting on carbon because everything's filling itself up still. everything here is doing its loops. And up here, the coolant should be just about done. Right, we need the catalyst here. Or this is gonna stop. No, it's still going. A little slow. We ran out of ore again. That's fine. Let's go see how our circuits are doing now. Oh, we need to reconnect that before we start running into other issues with our circuits. Easiest path through might be around here. Okay, so back up to circuits. Our blue circuits are completely backed up, which is good. Why are you not doing your thing? Wow, that autosave actually took a second there. Okay, so we are running into a platinum wire issue. Don't have any platinum wire. That's a really weird thing to be out of. Considering as long as this is moving, it should be producing. Why does this seem like it stopped? Something happened here. Something happened to Bobmonium. Why have you stopped? Why has this stopped? What broke? Why are you going so slow? It's an issue with the sulfur waste line being too full. Okay, why is that happening? Because this one's backed up. This is backed up. Okay, so we need a... Interesting it took that long and some weird combination of stuff to break. Fixable. There we go, that should help that. Make it go a little faster. And you need more filters in your line. Okay. That I can do. There, have 100 more. You'll be fine. Maybe not. Maybe that's a little too many. It seems to be just good enough. Now we're not having enough mineralized water come down. I'm not debugging this anymore. It can figure itself out. This design shouldn't be running into issues like this. Okay, I think I set another thing up for platinum wire anyway. Let's see how our other platinum here is doing. I'm just going to build it now over here because it's probably going to happen again eventually in like an hour or 3 or 20. May as well try to. Okay, let's go over where I am making platinum wire directly with a newer design and see why that stopped. Just on the other end of the base. Now this is just glass that has stopped horribly again because something broke over here. Because I'm getting really tired of something not working on this whole setup, right? I don't know what. Oh, this is probably this. It is sulfuric wastewater here backs up and breaks everything. And that little bit of pipe helped clear it up, and it should be doing its thing again. Okay, you look like you stopped. Yep, our platinum wires have stopped over here. Because they're not getting molten platinum. Why have you stopped? Because this one is stopped. Why is this one stopped? It's that same sulfur waste issue. This is going to have a lot of the other same similar issues that I've been dealing with, so let's do all my little adjustments to it. Okay, so we need to figure out how we're getting this dealt with in this compact of a space. That'll do it. Okay, that should get that running again for a bit. So close to getting this stuff working properly. So once that catches up, everything else is going to start to catch up. It's just trying to get it running on its own without me having to keep pushing it. Halfway to our next rocket, but we're going to need a bunch of terrible things to get everything working. Perfect example here is the modules for this. The assembly components. I only need 2 of these. Then we need 10 of the structure components. Also gonna disable it from going there to control how many we get, but we're gonna let that auto construct them. Good to see we are already 7% of the way there. So we have everything down there working on it as well as up here. which is doing its thing best it can. It's kind of neat. Kind of looks like it's breathing, which is a little scary. Okay. So I know we still need to work on this Chrome setup, but I think I'm going to take a bit of a break. We are going to call it right now because I am about a half an hour over scheduled time, but that always happens. Let's go see if there's somebody that we can raid. Nobody playing Factorio. Let's see who else is awake here. So we can go over to Mahalik. He's currently playing space exploration. As usual, I don't really have any kind of raid messages or anything right now. We're just gonna go pop over there, say hi, be nice, all that fun stuff. And with that, I will see you most likely tomorrow night. We might swap it up from Factorio to something else. We shall see. On that note, bye bye.